The dark invitation, the storm had rolled in suddenly, casting shadows that writhed and danced like phantoms along the narrow streets of Hollow Grove. Fat raindrops splattered against the windows, and the wind keened through the trees, twisting the branches into skeletal shapes. The Harpers, Clara and Thomas, had moved into their new home only a week earlier, their modest colonial revival house sitting at the end of a crooked lane beneath the tangled arms of ancient oaks. They were unpacking the last of the boxes when the knock came. Thomas looked up from a stack of books, his brow furrowed. "Did you hear that?" Clara paused, a ceramic plate in her hands. "The storm, you mean?" "No, someone's knocking." She tilted her head, listening. Another knock followed, slow and deliberate, echoing through the house like the beat of a heart. Clara's eyes darted to the clock on the mantel. It was nearly 9. Who would be visiting at this hour? Strange to get visitors so soon, Thomas muttered as he set down the books and made his way to the door. When he opened it, 2 figures stood under the porch light. Rain trickled down the peaked awning, dripping onto the steps where they stood. The man was tall and lean, his skin pale as marble, his dark eyes glinting like wet stones beneath the brim of a black hat. Beside him, a woman with long dark hair cascading over her shoulders smiled warmly, yet there was something unsettling about the sharpness of her teeth as her lips curled. "Good evening," she said, her voice a low, velvet murmur. She extended a slender hand, offering an envelope of thick black paper. Embossed on its surface was a design of curling vines and skeletal figures, delicate and intricate. "Welcome to Hollow Grove. I'm Lilith, and this is my husband, Victor. We host a little Halloween gathering each year," Victor added, his voice smooth and cold as the night air. "A small celebration for friends." Clara stepped forward, curiosity flickering in her eyes as she accepted the invitation. She felt its strange weight in her fingers, the paper cool and slightly damp. The gold lettering gleamed like liquid fire. "Join us for a night of delight and fright, October 31st, 9 p.m., 13 Gallowstone Manor." "How charming," Clara said, though an unease stirred within her. "We'd be delighted to come." "Excellent." Lilith's smile widened. "We'll look forward to seeing you." The door closed with a soft click. A sudden gust of wind howled through the cracks, making the Harpers shiver as though winter had crept into their bones. The days that followed were filled with preparations for the party. Yet, despite her love for Halloween, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that the invitation carried something more than simple festivity. Strange noises haunted the house at night, a soft whispering from corners where no one stood, a tapping on the windows though no branches reached them. On the evening of the 31st, the sky hung heavy with clouds, blotting out the stars. Gallowstone Manor loomed at the far end of Hollow Grove like a sentinel of forgotten times. Its turrets and gables were draped in ivy, the narrow windows glowing with dim, amber light. As Clara and Thomas approached, the heavy iron gate creaked open on its own. A chill slithered up Thomas's spine. "Mechanical trick," he muttered. "Probably on a timer." "Of course," Clara said, though her voice lacked conviction. The wooden door swung inward with a slow groan. A cavernous foyer stretched before them. Shadows pooled in the corners, and a faint, metallic scent lingered in the air, iron, blood, and something older, something they could not name. Their footsteps echoed as they entered. The floor was polished obsidian, its surface reflecting twisted chandeliers hung with candles that dripped black wax. Portraits lined the walls, solemn-eyed figures whose hollow gazes seemed to follow them. Thomas felt the icy scrape of unseen stairs pressing against his back. Lilith appeared from the darkness, her movements as smooth as silk sliding over stone. She wore a gown of crimson that shimmered like freshly spilled wine. "Clara. Thomas. How wonderful to see you." Her voice was like a caress, drawing them deeper into the house. She led them into a grand hall where a long banquet table stretched before them. It was piled high with strange and decadent fare, blood-red meats, fruits that gleamed like polished garnets, and goblets brimming with a dark, viscous wine. "Try the vintage," Victor said, appearing at Thomas's side. He handed him a glass, the liquid within swirling as if alive. It's quite rare. Thomas hesitated before taking a sip. The wine was rich, its flavor deep and intoxicating, but as it slid down his throat, a sudden heaviness gripped him. His chest tightened. The air grew thick, his vision swimming in shadows that danced with mocking glee. I feel strange, he murmured. Victor's smile widened, his eyes dark as the abyss. Ah, yes. The first taste is always unforgettable.